Hello and welcome to everyone across the nation joining today's workshop on instructional hours. This workshop focuses on using CASAS tests online together with TOPS Pro Enterprise Online to record instructional hours for students enrolled in classes. Enhanced access, in other words, a TOPS Pro Enterprise license or collective agreement, must be in place and is required to perform this function. Instructional hours can be added by the TE Enhanced user at your agency, in other words, the data manager, or by teachers if granted TE access by you, the agency, to manage their own classes. This is the last workshop, folks, in a set of 23 complementary CASAS online implementation workshops. We have another training room set up to begin another set of 23 CASAS online implementation workshops, and all of those workshops are listed here. Feel free to join us if you missed any of these topics or would like to join again to review the information. Or as a review, please feel free to do so and share, also direct your colleagues to these workshops as well. We highly recommend attending as many workshops as possible to learn about best practices, ask questions, and to become confident in using the online system. As mentioned in every workshop, online help documentation is available under Training and Support, CASAS eTest help documentation, as well as TOPS Pro Enterprise help documentation. You will want to be sure and bookmark these as your electronic go-to resources, particularly the CASAS eTest Online Guide, which provides majority of the information covered in these workshops. Now, today's workshop, folks, we have information in both places. In the guide itself, which we are in the process of updating as we prepare for the 2015 National Summer Institute, we encourage you to join us. It's a wonderful opportunity to network with others across the nation and glean a broader perspective on CASAS usage in other states. The section that's provided in the guide for adding instructional hours is section 8.5. There's a supplement or an alternate form to that, which is an alternate approach, but this workshop is going to demonstrate the recommended approach to adding instructional hours for students enrolled in classes, and that's this document here, section 8.5. You can also find class-related information in TOPS Pro Enterprise help documentation for class, student, and personnel information. So here under class information, you have a document titled Adding Instructional Hours per Class. And so that document actually is the same as the document that you will see in the CASAS eTest Online Guide. This is a step-by-step tutorial, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate live for you. Your live data will be added to your online agency database from casasetestonline.org. This is the main domain name where live data is produced. CASAS eTest is accessible from the middle of your screen. TOPS Pro Enterprise is accessible from the top left corner of your screen. I entered the main domain URL in the chat box for the production server. We also have available for you 24/7 is a simulation server, and I just entered that URL in the chat box as well. Please use the simulation server to experiment and explore so that you become confident in using the online system and try out new things that you would otherwise not do, and we don't recommend doing on the production server. Enter the Rolling Hills Adult School is a fictional database. The database refreshes nightly so that you have the assurance of working with a fresh data set at the beginning of each day. So you can perform any function that has to do with e-tests as well as enterprise in the simulation server, as this is an identical application to the production server. The only difference, folks, is that through the CASAS e-test application, web-delivered tests for protected test content is suppressed. So there are placeholders in place so that the test security is not compromised. All right, so folks, with that, we're going to go ahead and get right into Enterprise. 3 methods for accessing Enterprise is from a web browser by clicking TE Client in the upper left corner of your screen. When you first access Enterprise, this is the way you would access Enterprise or apply a client on your local machine for the first time. So you will actually install a client on your local machine to make connection with the CASAS hosted server. Through that installation process, a shortcut is placed on your desktop automatically by the application. You can also drag and drop that shortcut down into your system tray, as I have done here on my screen, which I find very efficient because I often have many screens open or applications open and running at the same time. So in the system tray gives you direct access to the application as well. So at this point, we will launch TOPS Pro Enterprise and access the simulation server, agency ID, username, and let's see, I'm going to enter as a teacher first to demonstrate if you are an organization that will grant access to your teachers to manage their own classes, such as enrolling their own students, managing the enrollment by identifying students as either active, inactive, or completed in their class, as well as in adding instructional hours for students enrolled in their class, and viewing tests results for students enrolled in their class. Teachers can also generate class-based reports. So from the organization menu, this is the recommended approach to adding instructional hours. Click Classes, Instances. And as you can see under a teacher login, there's no room for error. This directs the teacher where you want them to go. From the Class Instances lister, you can filter, either filter for the class, sort, and once you locate the class, double-click to open the class. And let's see, I'll go ahead and try ESL Advanced ESL as my example for today. To double-click to open the class. And now, folks, there is a feature that we had present in the online system, but then we took it away. It needed further refining, but there is a feature called Restrict Teacher to Own Classes. And when classes are set up in the online system, teachers can be assigned to classes through a personnel registration. Well, through a functional role. The teachers would have to have a personal registration in your online database and a functional role which associates them with a specified class. It is that linkage with their user account login that would restrict them to only access classes for which they are assigned. So we're refining that feature, and I don't have an estimated completion date on that. But in the meantime, just direct teachers on the different ways that they can filter, sort. They can even pre-select, say, the site to help minimize this list. If we are in the fall semester, which this is my sample classes, they can further refine this list as that. And if it's, say, only for ESL classes, they can also further refine the list and simplify the list as such. To open up the class as demonstrated a moment ago, you would double click to open up that class. So this is one method here. And then you can, instructional hours is right here. So click instructional hours from the navigator. And this brings up a list of students enrolled in the class. Now this is just an example here. If I actually, maybe I should demonstrate some other classes here that have greater enrollment. I'll try this one just as an example here. Well, 2 students there, so not many more. Let's just remove this here. What about this one? I'm just trying to find a class. Okay, this has a little bit more. So just depending on the enrollment, some classes could very well be smaller than others. To add instructional hours, the teacher must be granted editing ability or update ability to manage the instance of that class. From instructional hours, the teacher can enter attendance daily or provide attendance on, say, on an update basis, such as the end of every week or the end of every month, however you define update. So in other words, they are taking in accumulated amount of hours and providing an update on those accumulated hours. To add instructional hours, click the Add button here. That automatically brings up the current day. Now, if that's not the appropriate day, simply click on that to open up the calendar view and to backdate it to whatever day and then add instructional hours. Basically endorse attendance for those who attended that day. If you have another day to add, then just simply repeat that process. And so forth. We'll say they just meet Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Once the instructor has added the hours, they should be prompted to go ahead and save the hours that are recorded. It's as simple as that. It's a very simple function here. This is the manual process for adding instructional hours. We'll give this a moment to write to the database. We are also going to demonstrate importing hours either from an attendance system, an external application, as well as populating a template to add instructional hours, say for multiple students or for the entire agency, multiple sites, multiple classes, multiple students. If you are able to either acquire a list that can be cut and pasted into the importable template, or if you are an organization that for example, teachers are already recording instructional hours on general Excel spreadsheets, then you might as well just provide to them the fillable template, record the instructional hours on that fillable template, and then submit that to you to import, and I'll demonstrate that process. Now we've added some instructional hours here for these students. We can actually click over here to class records, and you will see here, and I'll just highlight it here. These are the students for which we just now added these instructional hours, daily attendance. Notice the dates that I selected here. So that creates a class record, or a record for that class, even though we recorded the instructional hours in this simple user interface. It created a record here. Now, if we add, say, additional instructional hours, it'll just simply create additional records. But you have to be sure and save that, the attendance there. Pam, I'll go ahead and forward a file with all of those fillable templates, and then you can pick and choose which ones will be beneficial to you. So notice here I've just added additional hours by daily attendance. Okay. Now, in the last workshop, folks, I demonstrated a new feature that just came out in the latest update, which was yesterday. And I see it's not, let's see, let's go to instructional hours here. I don't believe it's available in these listers. Class records. Yeah, so that makes sense. Okay, so the batch insert to enroll multiple students simultaneously into a class, that function, the batch insert function, is not available. Well, actually, you know what? It's probably not available to a teacher login. So let's go ahead and take this opportunity. Oh, but before I log out as the teacher, I just want to follow up with my scenario that when the teacher is allowed access to the instance of their class, they can, as demonstrated, record instructional hours. They can enroll students in the classes, either manually one at a time or through the, oh, I know why that wasn't. You have to select multiple records to okay, so the function isn't available under the teacher, so we have to make some adjustments to the access group rights. But what I also wanted to point out, sorry about that, is that the teachers also can view tests as that students have taken, and it doesn't mean that these tests have to be taken in this class. If any of these students were enrolled in classes at other sites, then their test results would also display in this lister. And to show you an example of that, let me go to this ESL Advanced class. I demonstrated importing the classes, importing students, importing tests, importing class enrollments. We did that quickly in the last workshop to show you that in this particular class, it automatically enrolled Sample Sam through that import. And Sample Sam happened to take a test. And notice no class was assigned to that test record, and that's fine. You are not required to record or assign classes to a class to a test record. Those of you who have been with us a long time and may have used our legacy application called VisualTops Pro, it's a desktop application, that application did require a class ID to be assigned for every single test record. Otherwise, you could not add a test record to the database. Well, fortunately, with Enterprise, that restriction is lifted, and so now you have greater flexibility to use student test results throughout the entire agency. Because you probably recall being asked from time to time, okay, if I have, and this is a good scenario, say a high advanced ESL student, and they took a test and scored, say, 236 and above on a reading test. Well, technically that qualifies them to enroll in an ABE class. Or not just an ABE class, but a adult secondary into adult secondary education, either high school diploma completion program or high school equivalency prep programs such as GED, preparing for the GED, HiSET, or task equivalency tests. And typically high advanced ESL students will do kind of an interim transition. They won't go directly to adult secondary, but maybe an ABE to help, because that's where they would then be tested in math typically. So you bring that math component. But my point being is that their reading test taken as a student enrolled in an ESL high advanced class, those reading results are valid and usable for that student in the ABE program. So in other words, it is not necessary to retest the student simply because they transferred to another program. A reading test is a reading test, and it's applicable across programs. Math tests are typically applicable only to ABE and adult secondary programs. Listening tests are typically applied to only English language learner programs. So I hope that makes sense. Kind of a little bit more information than I intended to share, but I hope you found that interesting. Now I'm going to disconnect as my sample teacher and change my role to an administrator with admin as the password, lowercase, and demonstrate how to, let's see, I did want to see if batch insert was available through an administrator login. So let's just give that a go in a live environment. Let's see, I can't remember. I think we were in this class here under class. I don't think it's available under instructional hours. No, okay, so class records. Let's just see if we highlight some records here. No, okay, so just an FYI, the new batch insert feature is not available for this type of information. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's go ahead and close that there. Now, importing can be if you acquire a file from a third-party system that's importable directly into Enterprise, great. You use the third-party import wizard. Or you apply the same type of information to a fillable template. The fillable templates all have directions on the first sheet. The fillable template, I always provide you a couple of examples here on the second sheet. Now you do need to retain this header so you know what information to input in those columns. Columns B, C, and D will not change. The state, of course, would be your state code. The agency code, of course, would be your agency code. The transaction number simply it would continue numerically down this column to just simply record the number of records that you are attempting to import. All right, so we just have two examples here. Student code here, program ID 101 is for ESL and 0100 is for ABE. And again, we would, when I forward these fillable templates to you, I will also provide to you the exchanging data with third-party systems document. It gets rather technical, but it has the code information for you to understand and to identify what type of information is expected in these fields. Now these fillable templates, folks, all cells are formatted in a text format, and this is intentional because in a text format you can add any leading zeros, whether it's leading zeros to IDs, leading zeros, well, the program has to have a leading zero, class IDs, or whatever the case may be. Oh, dates actually. Dates must be in 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, but 4 digits for the year. And using this month as an example of April, you would otherwise see 04. And so these types of things to understand, if you don't input that leading zero, the online system will generate an error because it's expecting that a specified format per cell. Okay, so these are examples here. This is sample Sam in this particular class with 85 hours. This is Susie's student with 75 hours. So we're going to import their hours of instruction. And you can just imagine that this could be populated with multiple students from multiple classes across multiple sites and so forth. But we're just going to take it simple here with these two examples. So you would want to save this as a let's see, I'm going to put it on my desktop. Where's my desktop here? In my import files folder here. You have to convert this to an importable file, which is a comma delimited file format, and save that. You'll get all of these funny types of messages. Don't be alarmed, just toggle through them. And this is this type of behavior is all included in the directions. So when you read the directions, you'll have the assurance that that is normal behavior. So we converted that and prepared that attendance import template as an importable file. We opened up the third-party import wizard, and there are detailed directions, information on each screen that you can take the time and read at a later time. So we're going to simply select that import. So this happens to be an attendance hours. And again, just take as an FYI, there is an order for importing records. Now, of course, you may not be routinely importing all of these types of records, but all of these types of records are available to you to mimic a data exchange from a registration and attendance system directly into Enterprise. It streamlines the process, it auto-populates your database with accurate information so that information is the same in both databases. Whatever imports that you don't intend to use, such as teachers, then don't worry about that, but classes would need to be set up in order for you to enroll students in classes or add instructional hours. Okay, so you still have to follow the same order of importing information. So now in the previous workshops, we actually have imported teachers, classes, students. We've imported their tests. We've enrolled them in classes, and now we're at the point of adding instructional hours. So this is the attendance hours import. Locate the file, and we're on our desktop in the import files, and here's attendance. Now please, once you convert those fillable templates to the importable file with the CSV file extension, do not open the file because it will invalidate it. CSV file formats automatically drop leading zeros. So if you open this, and we saved this on our desktop, if I opened it from my desktop just to view it, it immediately invalidates that file. I would have to resave the fillable template as a CSV. So I'm selecting the attendance file, and both files were found to be valid. Click Next. And let's let those files, the records are being written automatically to the database, as you see here by this progress bar. Give it just a moment. All right, now let's go ahead and check those records. Organization, classes, instances. And we actually were working with North Campus classes, specifically fall. So I'm just simply simplifying this list for you. And the one example was in, now actually I'm going to show you a feature here. Before, you can either double click on any of these and it will bring up another tab with the split information. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that now just to show you the two different views. So you have this view here to when you double click to open the instance of a class, it brings up the detailed information about the class with the navigator and the information that relates to the class, such as instructional hours. You see Susie student here. Now the hours that we imported for her don't appear here because that was under daily attendance. The only importable type of hours is called student update. I don't think it's accumulated, no. So it's a student update. So this would be an example of teachers importing, say, you know, well, they could do it daily, or they could do it at the end of every week or the end of every month, something like that. So you see the hours here, as well as you will see the hours in a class record for student. That was her participation source. And Susie is enrolled in the class, and again, you can view the tests taken by Susie in that class. Now, another type of view, folks, from the lister, rather than double clicking into that information, you can enable this child lister, which allows you to toggle through all of these classes, such as if I do class enrollments, that brings up this split screen, and we see the same type of information. The only information you don't see is that instructional hours input screen, and maybe that's intentional by design with the programmers. But here again, you can toggle through that information. The other example that we had, and I'll go back to this for just a moment. There is another way for you to increase your screen display by splitting the view, and I can designate to open all edits or views in this field here. So for example, if I go to instructional, well, you have instructional hours here, so you have the hours there. Enrollments, if I wanted to do new, that opens that information up onto my split screen. So this is just another way. I'm just kind of giving you some added views here for efficiency in managing your data. All right, same holds true, class records. I can double click on that. That will also open up another tab because I specified to open up the views on this side. So what you're viewing over here is the detailed information about this record right here, and as well as tests. So what we've done here, folks, I've shown you the manual method for adding instructional hours. Batch insert is not available for instructional hours. However, you can mimic batch insert in a way through the import process, either direct from a third-party import file or the fillable import template. Okay, and then this is basically viewing all of the information as it relates to the class. So that's it, folks, on today's demonstration. Do you have any questions about adding instructional hours? And those of you who were in the workshop just before this, we demonstrated adding students to classes or enrolling students to classes. So both functions are available if you have enhanced access to the online system. Any questions, folks? All right, I guess we'll go ahead and end it there. I will be sending a follow-up to everyone who participated in this complete set of 23 complimentary CASAS Online implementation workshops. So look forward to that follow-up. It will include a folder. It'll be a zipped folder that will contain all of these fillable templates, as you see here. And all of these fillable templates have directions on the first sheet, and then gives you the opportunity to fill the template on the second sheet. And so again, folks, I just encourage you to keep in touch with us. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Let me put our primary email here for the CASAS technology team at tech support. Okay, I entered that into the chat box. See, we have a large team of support members readily available. So sending any and all inquiries directly to techsupport@casas.org is your greatest assurance of receiving a timely response. I routinely monitor that distribution email list or the incoming messages to that email address. So so even if it's something going to me, I would still recommend using tech support, because perhaps I may be involved in training or out of the office training to where I'm not readily available to respond to you. And so here again, you can trust that one of our team members will know that and pick up on that and respond accordingly. So thank you so much for your participation, folks, and thank you to anyone joining today who has been part of multiple workshops in this set. We value your partnership, and let us continue working with you for successful implementation of the online system. Thank you, and have a fabulous day.